What happens in a reenactment weekend like today in Bellas?
Well, basically, as you can see around us is the camp. Most of the soldiers bring their own camping equipment. Obviously, in reality, people have normal daytime jobs, so everything you see around you is actually owned by the individual members, and they bring their tents along, set them up in their respective, what they call regimental avenues. So as you can see, the camp is laid out in a series of avenues, and then basically over the weekend, apart from obviously socialising, in the morning we tend to go out and do some arms drill, obviously as it were doing a parade, go through the various drill manoeuvres, and then at about 3 o'clock each afternoon we'll do the reenactment battle, which is always the highlight of the weekend.
And the battle is all in good fun?
Always, yes. If it is competitive, it's competitive in the best English sportsman-like spirit. So things are carefully planned out beforehand, because at the end of the day, although obviously we're only firing blank ammunition, they are real firearms, they're real bayonets, they're real swords, and obviously great care has to be taken. So yes, although you'll see a lot of enthusiasm and what may appear to be spontaneous actions, the reality is all of it is practiced and prepared and planned ahead of time.
And why this particular part of history? Why are you interested in that actual part of history?
Yes, it's always one of those questions people always ask, why are Englishmen doing the American Civil War, given that England was not directly involved in the war? A number of reasons. First of all, the American Civil War is one of those great turning points in history, in terms of military history. It sort of straddles the divide between the Napoleonic Wars, redcoats, Napoleon, etc., with smooth-bore, muzzle-loading muskets, and what came later, which is the First World War. And the American Civil War is in many ways the first ever technological war. We see the first use of rifled firearms, we see the use of the telegraph, balloons. In other words, it's a sort of the shape of things to come, yet it still has much of what came before. So militarily it's a fascinating conflict. In terms of English links, and on really two levels. First of all, many Englishmen, or many people from British Isles indeed, fought in the war as volunteers, as recent immigrants to America, and in that sense it's been estimated that some 50,000 men with English or British passports actually participated in the war. And on another level, Britain at the time was the workshop of the world. We were the major manufacturing industry, and therefore both sides, both the North and the South, imported absolutely tremendous quantities of military and other equipment, food and uniforms, and so in that sense it heavily involved Britain. I suppose there is a third reason, which is back in Britain, it was a war that produced a lot of emotion. In Lancashire, for example, although you had many wealthy Lancashire cotton mill owners and workers who relied on southern cotton and therefore tended naturally to side with the South, there was equally a very strong emancipation movement in Britain, very much against slavery, who obviously sided with the North. And so throughout the course of the war, it was a very well publicised war in this country. People followed it, and therefore to a degree it did enter the English consciousness in that way.
And your particular outfit, so to speak, you look like a Rhett Butler type character. Would that be inaccurate or accurate?
Well, I'm actually a federal officer. Rhett Butler, dare I say it, was on the southern side, so as far as I'm concerned, the wrong side. But I represent, I act as lieutenant in the federal battalion, basically on the staff. And so my uniform, although I'm not wearing any rank insignia on this, is basically that of a gentleman, because the officers still were, broadly speaking, gentlemen, with a very large inverted commas over the gentleman.
Jag har ingen idé.